Welcome back to episode 3 of Trading with Trends Core Learning Series. In this video, we're going to discuss how to identify a trend. Identifying a trend is super important because trading with trend is, well, all about trading with the trend. So if you don't know when there is a trend versus not a trend, then it's going to be very difficult for you to trade with trend if you can't figure out where the trend is. In this video, we're going to break down how to identify a trend, as well as introduce our custom TradingView indicator, Trendy by Jimbo, which should help you identify a trend. Okay, so before we get into the indicator and the in-depth of defining when and where a trend is, there are some very simple basic indicators I want to explain and show you guys that you need to understand before we can move any further. So there's 3 very important tools that I exclusively use to identify a trend and the strength of that trend. And that is a long EMA, a MACD, and a VWAP. So basically, all of these are just free, everyday, very, very common indicators that people use for all sorts of different things. And I'm going to show you how I use them to identify a trend. So basically, I start out with an EMA. So at the basic level, all of these things are included in our indicator, but I'm just going to show you. I generally use a 150 EMA. For source, I'll use HLC3. This is our 150 EMA. The general rule of thumb is that if price is above the 150 EMA, you are in a uptrend, and if price is below the 150 EMA, you are in a downtrend. If the price keeps breaking above and below, you're in a consolidating market. So if you look at today, price was often above the 150, and it was a nice upward trend. The next tool I like to use is an anchored VWAP. Free tool here called the VWAP Auto Anchored. You can click that. It's going to give you these weird bands. I like to get rid of those. Upper band, I get rid of all of this, and I just keep the nice VWAP. Okay, I use Auto Anchor and HLC3. There we go. General, same kind of rule of thumb. If the price is above the if price is above the VWAP, you're in an uptrend, and if price is below the VWAP, you're in a downtrend. And if the price keeps breaking above and below the VWAP, then it's likely that you are in consolidation. At this point, we now have the VWAP and the EMA on our screen. Now let's get into that next step. When the EMA is above the VWAP, that's another indication of an upward trend. And if the EMA is below the VWAP, that's an indication of a downtrend. And in addition to both of those, you want the price to be above both the VWAP and the EMA, or for price to be below both the VWAP and the EMA. So now let's bring in the MACD. All right. There's the MACD 4C. It's a free indicator. 4C stands for 4 colors. You don't really need to worry about it too much. So what a MACD is allowing us to do is to kind of see the strength of a trend. You can see as price is exploding right here, we have light green and it's growing light green indicators, okay? We're in a strong uptrend. As soon as we experience this small pullback, you can see we start decreasing darker greens. Another small explosion, light greens, another small decrease, and it's decreasing dark greens. And it decreases and decreases as price kind of consolidates in this zone here. You can see that's a consolidation zone, and that's followed by this MACD declining. And then when price explodes again here, you can see the MACD explodes with it into strong green bars. So what the MACD allows me to do is just to kind of gauge the strength of a trend. I'm not using a MACD to keep myself in or out of entries or to determine the trend. All I'm using the MACD is to simply kind of get a feel for the power of the trend to maybe try to guess when it's going to reverse or if it's going to continue as kind of an extra layer of confluence. So we briefly just discussed the MACD, the VWAP, and the EMA. Those are the tools that we use to determine a trend. Our indicator, trendy, uses the VWAP and the EMA to determine trends. You then have to use the MACD on your own to identify the strength of the trend. One additional confluence is market structure. If you see here, as the price is exploding, it's creating higher highs and lower lows. I could spend all day teaching about market structure, so I'm going to be brief, and this is going to be the only small section about it. For market structure, you are looking for higher highs and lower lows. If you look at this explosion of price and this uptrend, it's very simple. The lows are getting higher and the highs are getting higher, right? As soon as a low breaks the previous low, which happens just about right in this area, we experience consolidation before a price drop off. Okay, so one final recap before we move into the indicator. You are using the VWAP, the EMA. You want price to be above the VWAP and the EMA for an uptrend. You want the EMA to be above the VWAP for an uptrend. In a downtrend, you want the EMA below the VWAP and you want price below both of them. If you'd like, you can only use the EMA. And you can see as soon as the price is above the EMA here, you're in an uptrend. If you would like, you could only use the VWAP. As the price is above the VWAP, you are in an uptrend. For extra confluence, you use both. The price is above the VWAP and the EMA. The EMA is above the VWAP and vice versa. As a final confluence, you can use the MACD to determine the strength of a trend, and you can use market structure, which is simply just higher highs and higher lows, or lower highs and lower lows, to determine and to really understand and determine the strength of a trend. So if you go ahead and you are obviously in our free learning section on Discord, you're going to find a PDF at the bottom of the of all the videos. And if you go to page 16 of the PDF, you're going to see that there's a page called Get the Free Indicator TWT Trendy. It reads, to help get started, we have developed a custom TradingView indicator which you can use to help you analyze the market and find trends. In order to access the indicator, please click on the link below. I'm going to put this link and all of this text in the description of this YouTube video as well. Scrolling down the page a bit on TradingView, you should see a blue button called Add to Favorites right here. Please click on that button. After adding the indicator to your favorites, please restart TradingView, which means to close and reopen it, and you should find the indicator in your favorites list. So if you're on here and you go to indicators under favorites, you'll see it's right here, Trendy by TWT by Jimmy Tulip. Once the trendy indicator has been installed, it will help you identify and understand the current trend conditions in the market. It can be used on any time frame, from the 1 minute to the 1 day. By default, the trendy uses the 150 period EMA as the main trend direction determining factor. This is a good starting point for most time frames, and you may change it in the settings tab if you prefer to use a different length. The calculation method can be changed between 3 options. Option 1 is the VWAP and trend EMA. Option 2 is VWAP only. And option 3 is EMA only. Personally, I like to use option 1 as it's the most secure and safe method. However, I only trade NAS 100, so depending on what you trade and your time frame, the EMA might be better, the VWAP might be better, or maybe you stick with both. Please play around with the settings to understand how they impact the results shown on the indicator. And then here in the PDF, you get a little breakdown of it here. So we'll go over this. At the top of the screen, you'll see some triangles. Green triangles indicate an uptrend and red triangles indicate a downtrend. there will be a flare bar like this, green or red, which will indicate a trend change. You can see when the trend went from green to red here, you got this red flare bar, and that indicates a change in the trend. If it is gray anywhere on the screen, that means that the trend is unclear. Jimbo lists some trading rules for us here. In a good, strong trend, you will likely see the EMAs moving away from each other. In a downtrend, we will look for short entries, and in an uptrend, we will only look for long entries. In an unclear market, or when it's gray, we're looking for no entries. Additionally, we have some when not to trade rules here. You don't want to trade when there's rapid color changes, and you don't want to trade when all the EMAs are coming and converging together or overlapping on each other. When you see the EMAs moving closer together and price starts consolidating around the EMAs, it's a clear sign to stay away. This is a consolidating market and the opposite of a trending market. Wait for a clear trend to be established, the EMAs moving away from each other, or look for a setup on a different pair when this happens. So now I'm going to go into my chart here, and we can kind of look at some things ourselves. So here I have the 1 minute on the NAS 100, and I trade from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can see that mostly today was an uptrend, and right here we have a big uptrend, and it even detected this small downtrend here. If we zoom in here, you can see that we were in a nice uptrend. We got a flare and things consolidated for a little bit, broke down, and it broke back up into a green trend, and then it continued away. If you look closely, you can see that as we are entering our uptrend, the EMAs are spreading out. Okay, this is the 25 EMA, this is the 50 EMA, and this is the 150. So you can see that they are fanning and spreading as the trend continues. And if you look, when the trend starts to drop off, the EMAs start converging together, and eventually they all get consolidated real tight again before you have a big trend change. Right now, we had a big trend change, and you can see that the EMAs have fanned out once again in the downward direction. Okay, so that concludes this video, which the point of it was to help you identify trends. I hope after watching this video, you understand how I identify a trend. I also hope you understand how to download our trendy indicator and use it correctly. If you have any questions, as always, you can come into the general chat or DM Kit Trades or Jimbo. Have a wonderful day, and I hope I see you in episode 4.